All right, so get this Meta, the company behind Facebook and Instagram, they've they've decided to completely ditch their fact-checking program.
Wow.
Yeah, those like little fact-check labels that we used to see,
Right?
they're gone, history.
Yeah, it's pretty big move, and it's got a lot of people wondering why.
Exactly, and that's what we're going to try to figure out today.
Okay.
Our main source for this deep dive is this January 8th article from Ren's magazine.
Mm-hmm.
It's called "Why Did Meta Decide to Stop Fact-Checking?" Pretty straightforward title.
Right to the point.
And we're going to try to understand what this means for, all of us.
Yeah, for everyone who uses those platforms.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, to understand this whole thing, I think we need to rewind a little bit.
Okay.
Go back to like 2016.
Yeah.
When Meta was getting slammed for all that misinformation spreading around, especially during the election.
Yeah.
That's when they came out with that huge fact-checking program.
Right.
They partnered with those organizations like the Associated Press Snopes.
Huge undertaking.
Huge. Yeah, they poured tons of money into it. Even tried using AI to flag stuff.
It seemed like for a while it was actually kind of working.
Yeah, some studies even showed that like the spread of fake news, especially political stuff, actually went down.
Yeah, I remember that.
But here we are.
Here we are.
Mark Zuckerberg, he's, well, he hasn't exactly been a fan of this program.
You could say that.
I mean, he's been pretty vocal about it. Even back in 2019, he was saying how he didn't want Meta to be the, the truth police.
Arbiter of truth, I think, were his words.
Yeah, exactly. And now this whole, free expression thing, that's his big focus.
Yeah, he even put out that video on Instagram announcing the end of fact-checking, and it was all about free speech.
Right, but a lot of people are saying this is just going to open the floodgates for even more misinformation.
Right, and the timing of all of this is pretty interesting, don't you think? It's like right when Trump gets back in the White House.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely raising some eyebrows.
I mean, Trump's been pretty vocal about his issues with social media, saying they're biased against conservatives.
Oh, yeah, he's been talking about less moderation for a while now. Even hinted at taking legal action against companies like Meta.
And then there's Zuckerberg's whole relationship with Trump. They had that dinner at Mar-a-Lago, remember?
Yeah.
Plus, Zuckerberg donated, what, $1 million to Trump's inauguration fund?
It makes you wonder if this whole fact-checking thing is, maybe Meta trying to get on the new administration's good side.
Yeah, trying to align with their stance on free speech.
Exactly. And it's not just about the politics. This could be a way for Meta to, kind of avoid any regulatory trouble.
Ooh, like a preemptive move?
Yeah, we've seen them do stuff like this before. Like, remember when they moved their content moderation teams from California to Texas?
Right, Texas being well known for its more conservative viewpoint.
Exactly. And then there's the whole Dana White thing.
Oh, yeah, the Trump ally on Meta's board of directors.
It's starting to look like a pattern.
It really does. You have to wonder about the motivations behind all this.
Yeah, is it really all about free expression, like Zuckerberg says, or is there something else going on here?
It's almost like Zuckerberg's taking a page out of Elon Musk's playbook.
Oh, yeah, the chief twit.
Since he took over Twitter, or X as he calls it now,
Right.
he's gone all in on this completely hands-off approach to content moderation.
Yeah, he even got rid of the block feature.
Which means basically you're forced to see content from people you don't want to see.
It's a bold move.
Bold is one way to put it. It's caused a ton of controversy.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying it's just made X like a breeding ground for all kinds of bad stuff, misinformation, hate speech, you name it.
And is that what's in store for Facebook and Instagram?
That's the big question.
Are they going to become echo chambers where misinformation just runs wild?
Yeah, that's definitely a concern. And it really highlights how this whole fact-checking thing has become like the center of this massive debate about free speech censorship,
The role of these big tech companies.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big tangled mess.
And we're going to try to untangle it right after this break. Stay with us.
People are not happy about this decision.
Yeah. Understatement of the year.
I mean, some are all for it, praising Zuckerberg for taking a stand for free speech.
Right, but then there are others who are saying this is the end of truth as we know it.
Exactly. It's like everyone's been forced to pick a side, team truth versus team free speech.
But isn't it more complicated than that?
Oh, absolutely. This whole debate, it's gotten so polarized.
Yeah.
You can't even talk about content moderation without people, jumping down your throat.
Right. So is Zuckerberg really a hero of free speech, or is he, is this a bad thing for society?
That's the question, isn't it? I mean, the Indies magazine article, they don't really take sides.
Okay.
But they bring up some good points about what could happen because of this decision.
Like what?
Well, if there's no fact-checking at all, how do we stop misinformation from spreading? Especially with these algorithms that just want to keep us, hooked.
Yeah, that's true. It's not like they're designed to prioritize truth.
Exactly. So you could end up with a situation where the most engaging content is also the most misleading.
It's scary to think about. Okay, but free speech is important, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think we need to be careful about, drawing a line between expressing your opinion and spreading harmful lies.
Right, because that's not free speech. That's just, being irresponsible.
Exactly. And
Okay.
it's tough, finding that balance between letting people say what they want and protecting people from dangerous content.
Yeah. No easy answers there.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So what does this mean for us, everyday users? How are we supposed to protect ourselves from misinformation if there's no one to fact check the fact checkers?
It's like we have to become our own personal truth squad.
Kinda. We
Right.
have to be a lot more careful about what we see online.
Like what kind of curveball?
Well, the article talks a lot about media literacy.
Okay.
Basically, we need to be able to spot credible sources,
Right.
understand how these algorithms work,
Right.
and recognize how information can be, manipulated.
So we have to be like super skeptical of everything.
Pretty much. We can't just take things at face value anymore.
That sounds exhausting.
I know it's a lot.
Yeah.
But it's better than just blindly believing everything you see online.
Okay, so we need to be more critical. But how do we actually do that?
Well, one thing is to be aware of our own biases.
Our biases.
Yeah, everyone has them right. And those biases can affect how we see information, even if we don't realize it.
Oh, wow. I never thought of it that way.
It's tricky stuff.
So it's not just about being skeptical of what we see online. It's also about being skeptical of ourselves.
Exactly. And remembering that even the most trustworthy sources can make mistakes.
This is making my head spin.
It's a lot, I know.
Are there any like tools or resources that can help us with all this?
Oh, yeah, definitely. The article mentions a bunch of organizations that are dedicated to promoting media literacy.
Okay.
There are fact-checking websites, too, and even some tools that can help you identify fake news.
That's a relief. For a minute there, I was starting to think we were all doomed.
No, not doomed. Just need to be a bit more savvy.
Savvy. So it's not just about us as individuals, right? This is about like society as a whole.
Exactly. If we can't agree on basic facts or have a civil conversation about, different opinions,
Yeah.
then democracy just doesn't work.
Right. So this whole meta thing, it's not just a tech issue, it's a societal issue.
It's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
And the Ask Magazine article suggests that this could actually be an opportunity.
An opportunity. Really? Yeah.
Well, it's forcing us to rethink our relationship with information.
Okay.
It's making us be more critical, think more carefully about where we get our information.
Right.
And maybe you talk to each other more, even when we disagree.
So it's like a wake-up call.
Exactly.
Okay, so what about Meta? Do you think they'll ever bring back fact-checking?
Hard to say. The article doesn't really get into that, but it does make you wonder if Zuckerberg's plan is really sustainable in the long run.
What do you mean?
Well, if these platforms get flooded with misinformation and hate speech,
Yeah.
People might just stop using them.
Oh, yes.
Advertisers might pull out, and governments might step in with regulations.
So Zuckerberg might have to change his tune.
It's definitely a possibility. The future of Meta and really the future of online information, it's all very uncertain right now.
This has been a fascinating deep dive.
It really has.
A bit overwhelming, but in a good way.
Lots to think about.
So what's the main takeaway for our listeners?
I think the biggest thing is that we can't just sit back and let the information come to us.
We have to be more active.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We need to be asking questions, looking for different perspectives, and having those tough conversations, even when it's uncomfortable.
It's like we all have to become journalists in a way.
In a way, yeah. We have to be our own editors, fact checkers, and curators.
And maybe all of this could lead to a better, more informed world.
I hope so.
Yeah, a more connected society. It's kind of funny, right? That all this misinformation stuff could actually bring us closer together.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic. I guess sometimes it takes something like this to happen. To remind us that we need to, work together, find some common ground.
Right. Yeah. So we've talked about like all the bad stuff that could happen if Meta doesn't do fact-checking anymore. But the Zen's magazine article also talks about how this could actually lead to some good things, too.
Right. They talk about how, even though Meta's fact-checking program had good intentions, it wasn't perfect.
How so?
Well, for one thing, it relied a lot on humans to do the fact-checking, which meant, it was prone to human error.
Makes sense.
Plus, it was super expensive to run.
Yeah, I bet. So are you saying that now that Meta's not doing it anymore, we might actually see better fact-checking?
It's possible. I mean, there are already new technologies and platforms popping up that are using AI and machine learning to do fact-checking automatically.
Oh, wow. AI fact-checkers, that's interesting. How does it even work?
Well, these systems, they can analyze huge amounts of data from tons of different sources,
Okay.
and they can spot potential misinformation way faster than any human could ever do it.
And I'm guessing they're not as biased as humans either.
Right. They're less likely to be influenced by personal opinions or beliefs.
Yeah. Okay, but are they reliable? Can we really trust AI to tell us what's true and what's not?
They're definitely getting better, but they still have some limitations.
Like what?
Well, one of the big challenges is that AI systems still struggle with things like sarcasm, humor, even satire.
Right, because those things depend a lot on context.
Exactly. And AI isn't always great at picking up on those subtle cues.
So it sounds like human fact checkers aren't going away anytime soon.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But we might start to see more of a team effort.
Like AI and humans working together.
Yeah, exactly. The AI could do the initial screening, sifting through all the data and flagging anything that looks suspicious.
Okay.
And then the humans could step in to do the final check, make sure that the AI is on the right track.
That makes sense. So what's next then? What can our listeners do to, stay informed in this crazy world of online information?
Well, the article talks about how important it is to be curious and proactive.
Hmm.
Don't just passively consume whatever comes across your feed. Go out and find reliable sources of information and be willing to engage in conversations, even when they're difficult.
Yeah, but these conversations are so hard these days. It feels like everyone's just, yelling at each other.
I know it can be tough, but it's important to try to break out of those echo chambers.
Echo chambers.
Yeah, when you're only surrounded by people who agree with you,
Right.
you need to be exposed to different perspectives, even if they make you uncomfortable.
So basically, we need to get better at disagreeing with each other.
Exactly, and focus on finding common ground, even when we have different opinions.
I like that. Okay, so the key takeaway here is that we all need to be more careful about the information we consume.
Yep, we can't just rely on algorithms or social media platforms to tell us what's true.
Right. We have to think for ourselves.
Exactly. Critical thinking, media literacy, a healthy dose of skepticism.
Mm.
Those are all essential skills these days.
Well, this has been a really interesting deep dive. I've learned a lot.
Me too.
It's a bit scary to think about the future of online information, but it's also exciting in a way.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of potential for things to change for the better.
I hope so. So as we wrap up, is there anything else you want our listeners to keep in mind?
I think the biggest thing is to just stay engaged. Stay informed about this whole debate about online content moderation and fact-checking. It's an issue that affects all of us, and our choices will determine what the internet looks like in the future.
Well said. And thanks again for joining us for this deep dive into the world of online information. It's been a wild ride.
It has been.
To our listeners, thanks for tuning in. And remember, stay curious, stay skeptical, and stay engaged.